I'm a member of parliament in Pakistan from the Pakhtunkhwa. I come from a small village called Janda in Sawabi district, where, we take great pride in the fact that many very strong women have come out and they've excelled in whichever field they've gone to. Currently, I'm very actively involved within the party, taking up many of the issues mainly related to peace and security, women's rights and children's rights. In Pakistan, we've had a hybrid system for a very long time. We're trying to correct a lot of mistakes made. The 73 Constitution was badly mutilated by dictators, and this Parliament is trying to correct those mistakes. So we've had a system which was not entirely federal. It was a hybrid system. And right now, with the 18th Amendment, we've tried to correct some of those problems that we had with our system. Women generally in Pakistan, and especially from where I come from, have had a difficult struggle to come and be recognized. It's an uphill. I keep saying that I've been struggling for women's rights for many, many years, and I feel as if I have been on a stationary bike, the more fiercely I pedal, the more I see that we're not moving much. So it hasn't really helped. The whole system has not really helped women. However, with this recognition, and women's struggle is mainly, I would give credit to the women's struggle for the reservation that we have in the parliament right now, where women at least have got 17% seats, reserved seats. We need to have more. We've started a struggle within the parliament and the Women's Parliamentary Caucus, where we are now thinking that political parties also need to give tickets on general seats to women. And we have now got a consensus bill that we're trying to, and we had discussions with different political parties, and we feel that there should be a quota within the Political Parties Act, which binds each political party to give tickets, general seat tickets to women as well, and facilitate the women to then contest on general seats. Otherwise, we feel that coming on reserved seats, when you have reserved seats there, what happens is many a times your political parties may then say, well, you've got this option, you don't need a general seat, and there could be discrimination again for women. We think as women in the parliament that it is important to have the reserved seats so that women can come and learn and get that foothold. But ultimately, they have to come through direct elections, and the parties need to support them in coming through direct elections. And it can only be done if we bring in amendments in the political parties' order. We can see there's a bit of resistance to it. We've said a minimum of 10% general seats should be given to women. It isn't too much to ask. It's a minimum. The maximum could be any, but ultimately with all these put together, we might at least be able to bring in 33% women to the parliament. If many can come through the general elections and some on the reserve seats, we could actually build that number. We need a critical mass right now. And I think that is something that women from all political parties have come together. The other thing is this Women's Parliamentary Caucus that we formed, which I think is unique in Pakistan's experience, and also other countries are learning from our experience. And it is being led by the Speaker National Assembly, who is also a woman, a very dynamic woman. The Women's Parliamentary Caucus gives a platform to women parliamentarians from all political parties and to take up issues above party lines. And it has given confidence to women. Right now, I think Pakistan is taking great pride that we've been able to move very important legislation on women's rights. And in the 3-4 years, with all the complications and everything, it is all because of the women who've worked very hard on convincing the entire parliament to support us, and they've all been unanimous bills. I was about 10, 11. We came to Peshawar. My father was posted to Waziristan, the tribal areas, and so he said he couldn't take us there. And we were then living in Peshawar, and we were going to school there. My family is a Pakhtun family, and so my father, as an army man, would have us behave in a different way in the public arena and totally differently in the private arena. See, we had to be Pakhtun girls in the private, but when we met with people outside, we were actually more, educated, emancipated, things like that. So that confusion and contradiction was there throughout. And by the time I reached, I was 12, 13 years, typically where many Pakhtun women have to observe parda and stay home, I started resisting to it. I didn't want to wear a chadar. But at the age of 13, things started changing for me. There was more control on my mobility. I couldn't go out, I couldn't meet with people. If I went to school, I had to wear a chadar, this sheet around me, and I refused completely. I said, I will not do it. When I did my BSc from University of Peshawar, I decided to work. I wanted to work. And at that time, my father said that, no, you couldn't work. My father was totally against girls working. And he said, you will not work because I don't want people thinking that I can't afford to take care. This is the typical Pakhtun thinking. And this is why I'm saying we seem to have these contradictions in every Pakhtun family almost. And I said, well, it is more for myself, not for you. And I went against his wishes. I worked with human resource development and human rights issues in Peshawar, where we have many of those issues. So I worked for almost 10, 15 years focusing on that. But realized that, what I was, wanting the government or the state to do and constantly was not really happening. So, and I kept saying, unless we get into a political party, roll up our sleeves, we're not going to get anything changed. Awami National Party was reorganizing. And they asked me to join and reorganize the party with them. And at that time, I wasn't sure about them also, even though my father had, after leaving the army, contested, in national elections on the National Awami Party's ticket. And they invited me to their internal meetings also. And when I was clear that I wanted to join the party, that there was enough space for women that they considered women as equal members. That is what attracts me to Awami National Party, especially, of course, its history also of the Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan's freedom struggle and all that. But in the Pakistani context, it is more that they have taken secular positions, and also women as equal members. There are no wings in the party for women, so that and providing a lot of space for women to come in leadership positions. So I said okay, but I said when you welcome men, you have special programs for them. But when you welcome me into the party, you will have to organize a very special program, and with music, because at that time the MMA government of the religious groups had banned music in Pakhtunkhwa. And I had said, okay, when I come to the party, the joining in ceremony should have our best folk singers sing in, and it should be a public forum. And the party arranged that. Young girls have to associate with political parties. Political parties also need to reach out to young women. They have to come into the process, and it should. Dictators have actually made political parties sound like bad words, and that has to. Political parties have a greater role, I feel, but more youngsters have to live their dream also. That is the age where you're dreaming of things, and they should not be stopped. The spaces have to be created for them, and they need to create those spaces for themselves also. So what you need to be doing all the time, take people along. You have to, in our society, you need to create, if you've created space for yourself, you must also then push a little so a space is created for others as well. So youngsters will also have to take others, their peers, along as well, to build that strength. Otherwise, you're nothing alone, basically, especially in a career, politics. You need to have people who are with you, who are following you, and you are also inspired by. So you have to create that space. You have to associate with different political parties. You have to start making a difference within the political sphere, whether you're in college, because to say that you can bring about a change without getting involved in the political process, it's not going to happen. And even if in Pakistan you say that politics is a dirty word, then come roll up your sleeves and change it. I still feel that women politicians have to worry far too much about what they say, how they dress, what they do. They can't be themselves. And I keep saying, since I've struggled many, many years, and I've worked in what is called the men's world, and tried to say, well, I'm not taking your space, but I'm going to create my own. So give me, and if you are in my way, you better take a step backward, or out. So in that sense, I feel women have to actually, and this is my experience, because I'm, I think, amongst the few politicians who will not cover my head, and I live my life as I have lived all my life. I don't want to people should accept me the way I am. When I came out and started working on human rights and women's rights, I always felt that my activities were being observed. Okay, and when I questioned religious extremism, I thought, there were certain sections that didn't like it, because in Pakistan, unfortunately, this Wahhabi religion is being forced on us, and it doesn't really allow space for women to take up issues or to speak up on issues. So the threat was there, but when I got into formal politics, and the day I took oath in the parliament, when I was elected, I received a written threat saying that, you know, you're being watched, and the written threat was that somebody is going to throw acid on you, you know, because we do not like the kind of positions that you take. I, of course, informed the authorities, but I said, this is also to scare me, to push me back, to get me not to take certain positions in the parliament, because parliament is a big forum, and if I started talking about women's rights or started talking against religious extremism, certain vested interests are not going to be happy about it. And so I thought this was a way to push me back. And I decided to continue the way, you know, I drive a car, which is rare. I didn't take any security. At that time, they offered security. I said, no, I'll take care. They can't push me back.